response right away, I'll indicate that. I mean, otherwise, yeah, just updating that spreadsheet is good, really good.
So we're just waiting to see because Diana's.
Garcia, she keeps calling about the driver for like 46. And nobody. I guess she threw up today. She won't in today. Yeah. So I'll forward you, yeah, it's. There's, I just don't know what to do with there. You can do it. No. I've never had any complaints. It's first security.
Are we waiting on Aaron?
Do you know what he's doing? Is it just in that area? I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, she's not. That's fair. So I was thinking. Rides if she's coming from a long distance. You know, the King City and. More than everything. Yeah, I'm 46. I have to check out. I'm gonna call her where she's getting on.
She is constant troublemaker.
Kelly?
Yes, she is.
Ray?
Yeah.
She's everywhere.
Can you take it places?
Nice, I like it.
See if there's anything.
Pastor Rosen.
Not yet.
No, I'm telling you,
What?
Pastor Rosen.
Yeah.
I just came from Pastor, but it's not good, not good. Yeah, I know. No, but I'm just telling you, Jessica, I'm looking at this. So you'll know.
So I don't.
Sound good. Linda's the one that's been our intern. She's the one that's been doing these and stuff. It's awesome. Yay.
Mm. It's very colorful.
And then we have the signage. You've seen the signage sheets, right?
No,
The rules of each city has, and then you sign them in and all that. So I'll forward that to you when I get to the office. Because you'll need that.
yes,
You're in line for it somewhere on Monday, right? Gonzalez?
yes,
Okay. Where are you gonna go?
that's what we're gonna be talking about. I mean, no.
Yes, you have to break it.
I'm going to. I break all the rules.
That's the one. It's on the column.
Good afternoon, everyone. Call this meeting to order at 1:04 p.m. I just changed. With that, we will move on to the agenda. Are there a roll call? Riddle?
Member Macias,
Present.
member Ramirez. Member Merritt,
Present.
member Magana,
Present.
member Grove,
Present.
member McKillop,
Present.
member Hernandez. Member Jimenez,
I'll take a minute for the Zoom to switch over.
member Jimenez,
She's gonna need to raise her hand in order for her to get released to speak. She's right there though.
member Jimenez, can you raise your hand feature?
Okay, now I can talk. I'm here.
Member Garcia. Member Kuda Fuller. Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay, and then Member Hernandez will be in a few minutes.
Yeah. You're right.
All right, welcome, everyone. Are there any guests who would like to introduce themselves?
I'm Mario Duran. I'm with the Alliance on Aging. I'm the transportation coordinator. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to introduce themselves? All right, seeing none. Item 2, public comments on matters not on the agenda. Anybody on Zoom? All right, seeing none, onto the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from July 31st, 2024. Sure, everyone's had a chance to read over them.
I'll second.
A motion from member Maris, a second from member McKillop. We'll do a roll call vote. Member Macias,
Approved.
member Merritt,
Aye.
member Magana,
Yes.
member Gross,
Approved.
member McKillop,
Approved.
and member Jimenez. Member Jimenez,
Approve.
the motion passes.
All right, perfect. So item 4 is recommending of a date change. The next meeting is scheduled for November 28th, which is the same day as Thanksgiving. So we have the options either remove the meeting date or cancel the meeting, which I believe would then put our next meeting for January 30th, 2025.
Right.
Okay. I'm open for cancellation, but just because of holidays, any other suggestions, thoughts?
And just a friendly reminder that your January meeting would be at the new time, which is at 2 p.m.
Thank you.
You'll be on two.
I vote to cancel and move it to January.
Second.
So we have a motion to cancel the November 28th, 2024 meeting. From member Magan, second by member Gross. Hold on, for a roll call vote. Member Macias,
Approved.
member Ramirez,
Approved.
member Merritt,
Aye.
member Magana,
Aye.
member Gross.
Aye.
Member McKillop,
Approved.
and member Jimenez.
Approve.
All right, so in lieu of November 28th, we will meet again in 2025
Yeah.
at 2 p.m. All right, on to item 5, presentations. Seeing that member Hernandez is not yet.
You just get
Let him get settled, and can we move to item 5.2, which would be the Aging and Adult Service Program overview by member Jimenez.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a quick overview of the many programs that our Department of Social Services provides and focusing on aging and adult services programs. Are you able to hear me? I just want to make sure you can.
We can,
Yes.
yes.
Yes? Okay, next slide, please. So the Aging and Adult Services Program is under the Department of Social Services, and we administer 5 federally and state-funded programs, 5 mandates, and that's Area Agency on Aging, Adult Protective Services, In-Home Supportive Services, the IHSS Public Authority, and Information and Referral and Assistance programs. We also administer 5 optional programs that we applied for special grants for, and that's the Aging and Disability Resource Connection, Home Safe, Housing and Disability Advocacy Program, and the supplemental Social Security income. And last is age-wise. I could probably spend an hour on each one of these programs, but in the interest of time, I'm going to go over these programs very quickly. Next slide. So our mission is to empower and serve the aging population and persons living with disability to live safely and with dignity. Next slide. First program I'd like to highlight is our Area Agency on Aging, which is responsible for administering the Older Americans Act and Older California Act's funding that is given to us through the California Department of Aging. Our AAA program is responsible for the planning, administration, and funding of all the programs under the Older Americans Act and Older California Act. The populations that we serve include individuals that are 60 and over, adults with disability, and family caregivers. We are one of 33 planning service areas or AAAs. Next slide. Every 4 years, the AAA is responsible for developing an area plan so that it can help us identify what are the needed support services for the population we focus on. In order to come up with the plan for 24-28, we did several things. One was hold 3 different focus groups in North and South County that included over 80 adults participating. We did a local survey with 658 responses, and the state did a state survey, CDA, that resulted in 516 responses specifically for Monterey County. We also used information in-house from our information and referral team, and also the Master Plan on Aging and the CDA's California 2030 report to help us identify trends. Conducted a public hearing, and then in order to administer or allocate the monies, we have to go through a competitive process, and service providers who are interested apply, and we go through a very competitive process to allocate funding. Next slide. Based on the needs assessment, the top 5 service needs were housing, healthcare, transportation, mental health, and social engagement. Additional needs included food, caregiving, information and referral assistance, and financial assistance. This was a need especially for seniors whose income were solely dependent on Social Security benefits. And the quotes that you see here are from our focus groups from South and North County. And I think the quote that we highlight here, like, I receive $1,300 a month from Social Security, which is not enough to pay for rent, food, and transportation, really emphasizes and represents our low-income seniors and individuals living with disability on very limited resources. Next page. We have partnerships and programs that we help fund through as a result of the survey. I mean, we are limited based on CDA and Older Americans Act rules and regulations on what we can spend on, but these are some additional things we did above and beyond, which is work with CHISPA and Meals on Wheels to help provide on-site congregate meals for seniors. And related to healthcare, we help fund programs provided by the Alzheimer's Association that includes counseling and respite care for caregivers. We purchased 5,000 worth of bus passes from MST that were made available through the One Stop Community Center as well as the Alliance on Aging. To help address mental health, we applied for a special grant and were awarded $2 million to focus on our most at-risk seniors and those individuals that have come our way through APS, and in collaboration with behavioral health that need mental health services in addition to other support services. And then the last one, social engagement. You know, what we heard loud and clear is seniors, especially those that don't have any family members or a support system and basically are living alone and isolated. They want to engage, they want that human connection. So some of the things we did is we distributed over 350 iPads. That was through a special grant. We worked with Loaves and Fishes and Computers to provide training on using those iPads. And then we also funded some programs through Meals on Wheels and North County Park and Rec District to provide senior activities during their congregate meal programs. Next slide. So the areas that we are limited to funding include support services, congregate meals, home delivered meals, health promotion, family caregiving, elder abuse prevention, and long-term care ombudsman. And definitely the Department of Social Services cannot do this alone. So we partner with community agencies that are part of the Aging and Disability Network that have expertise in this area. And so through our partnership, sorry about that, there's jet airplanes here by the airport that are practicing, I guess, for the October fundraiser that they're going to do out here. But anyway, so we have invested $7 million in the community and service providers that have expertise and work with us to help our community. Next slide. And so some of the services, as I mentioned, include congregate meals, home delivered meals, support services, legal assistance, digital literacy, long-term care, family caregiver support groups, and family counseling. Next slide. The service providers that we have contracted with, that we work with, includes Meals on Wheels of Monterey Peninsula and Salinas Valley, Me Memorial Hospital, Alliance on Aging. Through them, we help support the Ombudsman program and the Medicare and HICAP programs. We contract with legal services for seniors, Loaves and Fishes, as I mentioned earlier. And through the Alliance, we also help them with consultations in long-term care for residents and families. And the Health Project Center focus is really on caregivers and providing support to them. We also have our information and referral assistance team that we help support. Next page. Another mandated program is Adult Protective Services. This particular program is really helping some of our most vulnerable populations in our community. It helps serve adults over 60, the age of 60, and dependent adults between 18 and 59 who have been reported to have been subjected to abuse. We have a team of 13 APS social workers that investigate these reports and also provide support to them. Some of the types of abuses that are reported to us include physical, sexual, and financial abuse and neglect by others. Next page. Last year, there were over 2,900 reports of elder abuse, and that's what we're averaging now, and it keeps increasing each year. So as an example, this has been an increase of 11% from last year, and it has tripled more within the last 10 years. And we don't see it going away as our community keeps increases in regards to the individuals that are 60 and over. We just don't see that going away. The top 4 abuse types include self-neglect, financial abuse, psychological abuse, and neglect by others. So again, our social workers offer support services. They collaborate with law enforcement, medical institutions, other government agencies like behavioral health, financial institutions, and they conduct as needed a multidisciplinary team to try to figure out what is the best option and options available for individuals that come our way who are abused. And sadly, as much these reports of 2,900, it's only 1/10 statistically, and based on various reports, only 1 in 10 individuals report abuse. And I also want to emphasize that APS services, they're optional. We cannot force anyone to take any service that they're not comfortable with. Next page. Or slide. Next slide. So the next program mandated is in-home supportive services. This particular program serves individuals on Medi-Cal who are blind, disabled, and could be adult or a child, and also individuals 60 and over. You have to be a California resident. You have to have certification from your medical provider that you need assistance. And the services that are provided include house cleaning, meal preparation, personal care like bathing and grooming. We have 27 IHSS social workers that assess the needed support services and the hours that IHSS recipients are eligible for. Next slide. In Monterey County, we have over 6,500 individuals on IHSS and a little over 6,000 IHSS providers. On average, 13.7 million is paid to IHSS providers, which equates to over 164 million yearly. Of the IHSS recipients, or providers, I should say, the providers, 79% of them are family members who are caring for their loved ones. And if any of you have had to do this for one of your loved ones, you know that it is a very difficult thing that is done out of love, but it is very, very hard to do at times, depending on the level of need that your loved one has. Of this 79%, 72% are living relatives, and of that 72%, 33 are parents with children. Next slide. Another mandated program is the IHSS Public Authority Program. This is basically a registry of providers who have been vetted through our system as being eligible to be an IHSS provider. And so, as I mentioned in the earlier slide or pointed out, most of our IHSS providers are relatives, but there's still that percent, right? That 20-something% that are not providers because we have individuals who don't have a support system. And so making sure that whoever wants to be an IHSS provider passes through the Department of Justice criminal background and again is vetted through our group is very important for the safety of IHSS recipients. Next slide. Another program that we have is Information and Referral Assistance Program, which is operated by 6 APS social workers who respond to over 1,200 calls and walk-ins and average over 14,000 calls annually. And the main purpose of this particular program is to connect community members with various types of services, our partners in the aging world, the services that we provide, be it Medi-Cal, APS, and other services. So it's an important role, and lots of calls come in. The top requested services are caregiver support and respite care, information for Medi-Cal and access, homelessness, eviction, and housing resources, and disability-related support services. Next slide. The IRA team also works in collaboration with Monterey County Weekly to produce annually the Living Well magazine. I'm thinking most of you have a copy of this, or you can also access it electronically. If you don't and would like copies, please let me know. You can send me an email and I would be happy to get this resource to you. Next slide. The additional support programs that we were able to implement based on applying for either special funding or grants include the ADRC, Aging and Disability Resource Connections, which many of you are part of, the Home Safe Program, Housing and Disability Program, Supplemental Social Security Income, SSI Advocacy Program, and AgeWise. Next slide. So the ADRC program It provides enhanced information and referral assistance through our IRA team, options counseling, transitional services, and it's in partnership with CECL. That was one of the requirements for this particular grant, that we partner with our local Center for Independent Living. It helps provide this no wrong door philosophy. So no matter where the client calls, we connect them. We try to help to connect them with the appropriate resource that will help them. Next page or slide. So we invested 1.4 million in the community to implement this particular grant. And again, it's in partnership with our CECL partner. Next slide. The Home Safe program is a homeless intervention program. It is a program that helps clients who have been referred to us and have been potential victims of APS or of abuse and are at imminent risk of homelessness. Our APS social workers provide intensive case management, referrals to community resources, and through a partnership with CECL again, they provide housing navigation and assistance. We also provide financial assistance, be it rental or mortgage arrears, temporary housing, security deposits, and other types of assistance needed to help our clients stay where they're at if it's safe. Next slide. The Housing and Disability Advocacy is another homeless intervention program. The difference between this one and Home Safe is that Home Safe focuses on APS client referrals, where this one focuses on individuals who have a disability, are also potentially facing homelessness, and they don't have any other type of income. So we help them navigate the Social Security system so they can get resources while we're also helping them in trying to keep them safe and prevent homelessness. Next slide. So the SSI Advocacy Unit is a team of social workers who help provide the support to the HDAP program and the Home Safe program. And again, helping individuals who have a disability and may likely be eligible for Social Security benefits. And again, it's helping them navigate that system through case management, advocacy, mediation, and just providing some emotional support and guidance. Next slide. AgeWise is a $2 million grant that we were awarded and is based on a model out of San Bernardino County. So we're trying to pilot this to see if it will be successful in our county. The purpose of it is to really reduce the recidivism rate of some of our most high-risk seniors who have mental health needs. And, a combination of things could be homelessness. They're also maybe victims of abuse. But the goal is to intervene, get them stabilized. And the hope is that they'll have less visits to ER or 5150s or other emergency support services through long-term case management and wraparound services, and again, in strong partnership with our behavioral health department. Next slide. So why does all this matter? In Monterey County, about 22% of the population is age 60 and over. We have approximately 14,000 veterans in Monterey County. Of those veterans, more than half, 57%, are 65 and older. And as we know, the senior population is the fastest growing population. It's estimated that by 2060, 1 in 4 individuals will be age 60 and over and will outnumber children 18 and under. And as seniors are living longer, more diverse, experiencing increasing complex challenges, some of the trends that we're seeing statewide, nationwide include homelessness. The individuals 50 and over are the fastest growing group that is facing homelessness. Financial vulnerability, whether you're middle income or high income. I don't know if some of you remember the the woman in Pacific Grove who exhausted all her thousands of dollars paying for a facility, a very expensive facility in Pacific Grove. Her assets ran out and, she was facing basically eviction by the facility. So it's hard not just on low income seniors, but also on middle income. And as your assets and your mobility diminishes, all these challenges we face at one point or another. And we are facing caregiver shortages. First, there's mental health, medical and physical challenges, isolation, loneliness, Alzheimer's, and dementia. Those are the trends in California and nationally. Next slide. Monterey County has over 36,000 disabled adults age 18 and over. Here are the different types of disabilities that they face. And based on census, 1 in 4 Californians live with a disability, whether they were born with a disability, grow into a disability, or through an accident or illness, develop a disability. Next slide. Again, our seniors, as we age, like most of us, right, we want to live at home. We don't want to be in a facility. But the longer we live, our mobility and our physical challenges, increase. And so there's going to be more need for all these support services that we offer. And again, when I say we, it's not just Department of Social Services or Aging and Adult Services, but it's collectively, it's all of us who help provide services to our community. Next slide. And as I mentioned earlier, social services can't do it by themselves. We depend on our amazing service providers who are part of the Aging and Disability Network. And collectively, we can make a difference. We know there's never enough money, and the need is so great. But we all can try and do our best and work together to make a difference to the community that's depending on us. Next slide. And that's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Diana.
I was trying to take myself off, video or get on, but I'm not able to. So sorry about that. I'm being blocked.
All right, thank you. All right, back to item 5.1. Mr. Hernandez, the TMC Title VI and Language Assistance Plan.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies for everybody for being late, but I appreciate you moving my item over while I make it here. It's just been one of those days. But I just wanted to just give a brief verbal presentation about this item. It's we've got a presentation with AMBAG a few meetings ago regarding their Title VI update. TAMC, the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, we're also, as we're subrecipients for federal funding along with MST, we also prepare a Title VI update every 3 years, as we're a subrecipient with Caltrans, who administers those federal funds for transit funding to us. So I just wanted to use this as a time just to briefly just talk about it and then see if everybody has any questions. Title VI, so all in all, it's a federal requirement that mandates that no person shall be discriminated against on the grounds of race, color, national origin, or be excluded from participation or denied benefits under any program or activity that receives federal funding. Our last update was in 2021, so 2024 marks our every 3-year update. So this Title VI, the updated Title VI will provide the public information and resources should they ever encounter an instance where they feel like they're being discriminated by our agency, and this would apply for the next 3 years from 2024 until 2027. Attached in the agenda packet is the draft of our Title VI, and it's a lot of it's seems a little similar with AMBAGs in terms of, the data that's provided and such. And then we do have a section that describes like how we reach out to our link, or in the plan, it says a limited population or limited language. It's like a whole acronym. It's a limited English proficiency population. Oh, there you go. So folks that do not speak English not very well according to the census. And we do an analysis where we see the population of Monterey County through the census and see which languages qualify for us to guarantee to provide our our Title VI documents in those languages. So in the analysis of our Title VI update, we do what's called four-factor analysis, which in the draft plan, it explains each of those four-factor analysis of what we consider is a limited English proficiency population. And then one of those is a safe harbor factor, where if the population is at least 5% or at least 1,000 people that speak a certain language that's not proficient as well in English, then we include that in our Title VI update. And at the bottom, at the very end of the Title VI draft, there's some templates that we have for folks to file any kind of discrimination complaint, and we have those templates in 2 languages. So 2 languages meet that safe harbor threshold. So Spanish, obviously, since our Spanish speaking population is very large here in Monterey County, and then Tagalog as well. The Tagalog population had just reached just above 1,000, but they don't account for 5% of the population, but they at least met that 1,000 safe harbor threshold. That is actually, so it's just 2 languages. In our last plan, we had 3. The Korean language was 1 language, but this time it didn't meet that 1,000 person threshold. So the population there has reduced. But nonetheless, we do have services where we do provide either translation, on-call translation services with MST through a contracting language line service that we have, where folks, if they need that assistance, where staff doesn't have the capability to provide information in that language, then we do have that type of resource to provide our information in whatever language. So that was just a brief update I wanted to give you guys all on, since AMBAC has been doing this work and we've also been doing it. We do expect for our TAMC board to adopt this in our December board. And so pretty much I'm open for any questions here. And then I did have a survey for all you guys to take. One of the requirements in our Title VI plan is we assess the minority representation within our committees. So our TAMC committees, and then the Mobility Advisory Committee. And I believe Christy will probably send out, or Ruben will send you all a link to a survey for you guys to take. So it's only like 4 questions. So yeah, very, very simple. So yeah.
Any questions? Thank you, Aaron. Information. All right, item 5.3, the MST rider and non-rider survey results.
Get the presentation up. While they're doing that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Mikuyo Yoneda Lopez. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager. Welcome, committee members. So this is a presentation that I made last year to the MST full board. And Christy reached out and thought it would be interesting and useful for this committee to hear as well. So here we go. Next slide, please. The survey executed through working with a company called ETC Institute. They're out of Kansas, and they work with some of the largest transit agencies in the country. LA Metro, VTA, AC Transit, you might have heard of some of these, but they know what they're doing. This is their deal. They work with public agencies and transit agencies. So we trust them and they did good work for us. Next slide. Here's kind of an agenda of what we're going to talk about today. Some of the highlights, I guess you could say, the major findings of the survey. And we did both rider and non-rider. So rider is people that use our service, as well as a community survey, which is our non-riders. So most of our community doesn't take the bus, but we still care about what they think of transportation and of MST. So we did execute that. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into kind of the purpose, the why. Why did we do the survey? So we execute the survey every 2 years. The pandemic kind of delayed us a little bit, so we got off track from the every 2 years and we did it the 3rd year. But in 2023 is when we executed this survey. So the data is about a year old, but I think it's still relevant and helpful. So why do we do this? We want to understand who our riders are. You know, they ride our service, our bus. Who are they? What can we learn about them? Are they happy with the service? What are we doing well? What are we doing poorly? How can we improve? And also to gather feedback, whether it's related to transit or not. We want to know how our community, our riders feel about infrastructure, the roads, this transit, everything. So that's kind of the purpose of our survey. Next slide, please. So one more slide, I'm sorry. Okay, methodology. So this is kind of the how we did it. We went out and got 566 completed surveys. These were done on board buses at transit locations in person for the most part. We had people out there intercept, they're called intercept surveys. You're intercepting the people as they ride the bus or on the bus and in person doing these surveys. They had a list of all our service lines. And so they knew how to divide up, you know, what portion of the surveys need to come from super busy lines versus less used lines. And that way they were able to get a statistically valid number of surveys. Next slide, please. And so this is kind of what we found out. Who are our transit users? We learned, next slide, please, that people of all ages use MST, younger, older, but we did highlight 38% are 34 years and younger. We see a lot of younger people, which is good because the younger they start, hopefully they'll continue to use transit and be lifelong bus riders. We encourage that. You can get the detail here, but I'll just move on to the next slide. People of all races use our service. I think it's representative of the county population in that, you know, the Hispanic, Spanish, Latinos are the greatest number, but a lot of other people are using our service as well. Next slide, please. And we learned that over 25% of our riders have been using MST for over 10 years. It's a long time. Not always by choice, but we are here for people and we have been and we will continue to be. So that was an interesting number. You know, we got to start young and hopefully they'll continue and this number will keep growing and growing. Next slide, please. This number is interesting. So how many people have a valid driver's license? This number has been increasing over the last few surveys. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but the young people, they don't care as much about getting a driver's license as they used to when I was young. It was like, you're 16, I want my license, I'm driving. But nowadays, kids are kind of like, I'll get a ride from my mom or someone. So this number of people on the bus that don't have a license has definitely increased over the years. Maybe the pandemic impacted them too, where everyone was at home, they couldn't go out anyway, so I get a license. That's just my personal thought. Next slide, please. This is kind of a shocking number, but over 90% of our respondents come from households with annual income less than 60,000. And that's a household number, not a single earner number. So you may have two people working in a home, but they're bringing in less than $60,000 a year. That's not going to go very far in this community. It's expensive to live here. And these are the people that depend on us and who we need to provide good service for. Next slide, please. Travel behavior is the next topic. Next slide, please. So we learned that 44% of the folks ride 5 to 7 times a week. That's a lot. I'm guessing these people are going to work or going to school, something that's regular. But it's a way of life. It's a way of transportation for them. Next slide. And speaking of why they use the bus, number one reason was work. So these people are getting to the peninsula for hospitality, you know, working South County to the peninsula. You'd be surprised at the number of people that start in King City and end up in Seaside or Monterey working in hospitality. They depend on us, and they travel far. But surprisingly, shopping is the second highest reason. But then you think about a basic need is food, is groceries. These people need to take the bus to get their basic needs met. Grocery shopping is very important. So after thinking about it a while, I thought, okay, that's why it came in number 2. Schools, education, visiting friends, recreation, those are also pretty high up. And, you know, outside of the need part, and this is a need too. So connecting with other people, I think that's really important. And it's not like food to stay alive, but that connection to other people, I think, is so important in all age groups, but especially older citizens. They need to have that connection with people. And if we can provide that part, just to go visit a friend, just to go a community center to hang out, I mean, you can't put, you know, a price tag on that. Next slide, please. So going back to my idea or my thought about how far people come, 68% of our riders make at least one transfer. So that means they take at least 2 buses to get to their final destination. So the example I use is someone I met who travels from King City, transfers at Salinas Transit Center to take the 20 into the peninsula, into Monterey, where then they get off and work a whole day and do the same thing on the way back. That's a lot. It's a long day, but this is their only way, and we're happy to be here for them. Next slide, please. 80% of riders usually walk to their first bus stop, and that's a high number, and I think it's something that we're proud of because people can get to the bus. You know, we try to design our service, our routes, so that people can access bus stops easily. Because some people live so far out, to get to a bus stop is tough, but then we have those supplemental services that, you know, Christy and team provide to get some of the older people and veterans to the bus stop, or if they're way out there and, you know, there's no way to even take the bus, they have service. They can take a taxi or some other way. Next stop, please, or next slide. Thinking of bus stops. Next slide, please. So here are some averages based on the responses of our service. So we're proud that the majority of our attributes rate our attributes higher than the industry. So, you know, bus operator driving 91% versus a national average of 73. We're all above the averages, which makes us really happy. I think frequency is one that we're kind of in line with the national average, but I think that sentiment is kind of across the nation. Everyone wants more. They want it, you know, more frequent. They want it faster. And that's tough when you have limited resources, but it would be nice to have every 5-minute service or a 10-minute service, you know. I don't know if we'll ever get that, that good, but we're working on making things better. Next slide, please. This survey was executed, I think, a little bit after our Better Bus Network, where we went from the $350, $250, $150 pricing fare structure to the $2 for 2 hours flat rate. And so 78% of our riders said that that price point is just right. I think you're always going to have someone that thinks it's too much, but I think that number is not a bad place to be. You can ride from King City to Monterey for $2 because we have those connections now where within 5 minutes. You don't have to wait. and, waste 30 minutes waiting for the next one to connect. Within 5 minutes, you're on the next bus and you're on your way to Monterey. So for $2. And for the discounted population, for veterans, seniors, folks with disabilities, it's $1 for 2 hours. So it's even better. Next slide, please. And our riders agree that our services are getting better. And again, this was done about a year after our Better Bus Network. So we did make things better. We thought about frequency versus coverage. We're sending our service to where it's needed versus not trying to cover the entire county. And then it being infrequent. We found out where people depend on our service the most, where the populations are more carless homes, and that's where we targeted our service. And so we've been able to hopefully provide access for more people. Next slide, please. So not surprising, if we offered more service later into the night or on weekends, more people would take it. I understand that, right? Like you want to go into Monterey for dinner and dinner ends at 10, whatever, 11. There's no way to get back home. So people think, oh, if you offered service till midnight, well, then I could go out to dinner in Monterey and come back on MST. I understand that, and it would be great. But again, limited resources, you do the most you can with what you got. But what I tell people is, you can go into Monterey for dinner on MST and maybe come back a different way. If you have to Uber it or something or take a cab or something, but at least one way you can utilize MST services. Next slide, please. And next slide after that. So this was something that was nice. MST riders, they care about the environment. Whether they use the bus because they have to or because they want to, they care about the environment. And that's a nice feeling. They care that, our zero emission buses are important. They care about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. All the things that we care about, they care about too. Next slide, please. So my team manages the social media here. And so when I saw these numbers, it was a little bit like, huh, really? Because the way our passengers get their information isn't only on social media. It's fast and it's cheap to get information out on social media, but it wasn't the number one way our passengers getting information. They get it by talking to their driver or looking at the signs around posted inside the buses. That's how they're getting their information. And so, as much as we like to say, oh, we'll get it out on social media, you're not going to hit everybody. You're not going to get that information to everyone. So this is eye-opening. And, we really want to make sure that our drivers are well-informed, because guess what? Someone's going to ask you a question. So hopefully they're well-informed. We get car cards up inside. So if you look around, and you have a question, hopefully you can get that answered there as well. We'll continue to do social media though. Next slide, please. Disabilities. So 20% of our riders have a physical disability that causes them to be dependent on others for transportation. These folks unfortunately have no other choice. They can't drive themselves. And so they do depend on MST to get anywhere, to access those services that were shared with us earlier from the county. To get, to receive those services, a lot of times you have to get there first. And that's, I don't know, that's something that not everyone thinks about. Like, oh, just go to that office and they'll help you. Well, how do I get there? First of all. So that's a barrier. And hopefully, we're removing those by providing our mobility services. Next slide, please. And now I'll get into some information from our non-rider survey. So this is just people in the community. They pulled some addresses, survey people, how to do that. They pulled addresses from each zip code and just sent out mailers and asked folks these questions. So this was executed December 2022, and same as before, they divided up the number of mailers that go to which zip code to make sure it's statistically valid. And next slide, please. This is what we found out from our non-riders. So that these people don't use MST services, but 95% believe that our services are valuable to the community. And that's nice. That's great. Business owners, people that have cars, they see the value of MST. because they might be business owners, but if their staff can't get to work because there's no bus, guess what? They're hurting. They need to find a way for their employees, for their coworkers, for people to get to their businesses. So they see the value. Other people that take their cars think, I sit there anyway. And I think, gosh, if those 14 people on that bus all had to drive their own car, this traffic would be even worse. I mean, we're taking cars off the road. And so people that don't depend on the service still value the service. Next slide, please. So the perception of MST in the community, they understand that transportation is important. They prefer to drive though, rather than taking public transportation. I think it's a American cultural thing. People like their cars. People don't want to give up that flexibility of maybe having to wait a few minutes for a bus or walking a few blocks. You know, they want to go where they want to go when they want to go. So this number doesn't surprise me, but hopefully we can move that number a little bit by making it as frequent and dependable as possible for our community. Next slide, please. So factors that would encourage our residents to use it. Again, this is not a surprise frequency. People want faster service more often. If they can get to where they need to go faster, then they would consider taking the bus. Otherwise, they're going to stay in their cars. Next slide, please. So likelihood of using some other service instead of the bus. So on demand, like the Ubers and Lyfts, that is the highest level of other service that people would use, or shuttles, high speed, rapid bus, the rapid bus, BRT, you have a special lane or you have priority signalizations, things like that, that the SURF project will offer, SURF Busway will offer. Those are the types of things that, people in the community consider to make them try the bus. Next slide, please. So funding, 84% of our residents think that public transportation funding should increase over the next 5 years. So they see the value. They don't use it, but they see the value. And that's great. It's a good sign. They won't take it themselves, but they think it's important enough to spend money on it. Next slide, please. So again, 87% of our community, feels that improving public transit is important. The network is important. Providing that BRT lane is important. And you can see all the numbers on the side here, but this is positive for us in our goals and helping us meet our goals. Next slide, please. So in summary, just, all the things we're doing, I think are positive, but there's always room to learn and hear with the feedback from the community. That's the only way we're going to get better. And we don't know what's going poorly if we don't hear from the community. So I think these surveys are valuable to us. Both residents and riders, think highly of MST, not only just for the service, but our role in the community. With the pandemic, we kind of stepped out of what we normally do, changed lanes a little bit, started delivering meals. Chrissy's group was really heavily involved in that. We evacuated folks from flood zones, from fire areas. We did a lot of things that you don't typically think a bus company or bus agency would do. But, we're part of this community. And I think people are recognizing that MST is more than a bus, just a bus for people that can't drive. We continue to just be committed to our community and continue to reach out and ask these questions because we want to learn what we can do better and what's going well, what's not. And I'm excited to say that for this next round of surveys, we'd like to reach out to the population of folks that utilize a paratransit service and see how's it going. What do you like about it? What don't you like? What can we do better? Not that we can instantly change everything, but it's important to hear it and to learn and to always kind of understand where our passengers are coming from. So with that, I'm done. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes.
So two things. One, thank you very much, MST, awesome, because we go to 24 sites a month, Mario and I. And we encounter our seniors by helping them with all services. So for a
Mhm.
client like for CalFresh, for Medi-Cal, for et cetera. But bus is the main one.
Mhm.
And so I'm very blessed that AAA funds us bus passes, and then we get donations and we provide bus passes for seniors. And they are very grateful. We were funded lower this year,
Hmm.
so we had to make a change to not give them every month, but every other month. And you expect they would be upset? No, because we had to explain, due to economy, blah, blah, blah. So they're very grateful. The other one is I had Mario do an adventure. I always call them adventures. Go riding on the bus with the senior, and he did, and he can add to stuff that I missed. One of the challenges was a mile distance from the bus stop, right? Mile distance. 2 miles, obviously around. But he taught her, rode on the bus with her, gave her a bus pass, rode on the bus with her, and they went to the mall from her home. And then they spent a little time on the mall, and then they came back. So basically, he taught her how to get the bus because she was scared. She was
Yeah.
scared, as we all hear, different circumstances that happen on the bus. But we want to hear good stuff that happens on the bus. So she liked it. She would have liked it to be a little bit closer, but she's content. So I wanted to share that because even though there's a distance, they still have that ability to still walk and get the bus and ride with someone. Our next adventure is going to be in October because Leslie sent me a flyer saying the aquarium.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that MST in Salinas have the rides where you ride the bus with seniors and all that, but we also have to take adventures with our seniors. So I'm planning, hopefully, on the 18th of October, from Greenfield to Salinas, pick at least 5 each sites, not all 24 sites. At least about 15 seniors to take them to the aquarium, and that's going to be an adventure as we do once in a great while. And so I'll let you know the next time when we meet what happened.
Yeah.
But these opportunities between MST and other agencies that are willing to, assist, I think it's a big thing.
Yeah.
I was very impressed one day. My father was in the hospital before he passed away. And I was parking and I see the rides bus. And kudos to the MSD staff, the drivers. Patience is a virtue. Because this man was in a wheelchair and he was strapped and, obviously had a mobility, etc. But I saw the bus driver, put him up carefully, make sure that he didn't fall, make sure that, because I even saw him going like this, but it's part of, you go down and then you go up. But he was right behind, so that way, in case something happened, right behind him. And I think people were honking at me because I was just staring, and it was impressive. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of
So
work.
thank you very much.
Thank you
very
for
much.
sharing that. I know that Christie's group provides travel training opportunities too, because it is a little intimidating if you've never used public transportation. When I first started, I was like, how do you do this? Like, do I do this? How do I tell the guy that I need to get off? Or, do I get on this door, that door? So I understand it could be very intimidating, and I encourage people to, do the travel training and learn, because once you get it, now I'm just like, okay, I know what I'm doing, and it's so convenient not to have to find a parking spot or not have to deal with the traffic or, you're still sitting in the traffic the same amount of time, unfortunately, but at least I can plan for it and know that during that 30 minutes, I'm going to read, or I'm going to do this, or you can do something else. So that's a
You can
benefit.
see. You're
Yeah,
not
you can just pay
driving and
attention.
it's
Yeah, you can
close.
enjoy the environment, the beautiful scenery, around us. So, yeah, no, that's very good feedback. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Just a comment to Reina, maybe you should do an adventure for all of us and see how that adventure is too.
Yeah,
So that we
Right.
can then pass it over. It's not the same.
exactly.
I used the bus going to college and it's not the same. You have to really think of time. And so when people use the rides, they really structure their day according
Yeah.
to their appointments. And so it, for us who have to go to A to B to C, it really takes the vehicle. We take these services for granted because we just go about our day.
Yeah.
And so when you do these kind of adventures, it really puts a bird's eye view of how our consumers or clients really see the experience. And thank you for all this information that you
Yeah.
provided us.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, you should
Accurate.
use the service. I feel like that's my thing is if I'm not using it, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And what the passengers are experiencing. That's not good. You need to be in touch with
Yeah.
what the passengers
Had
are
adventures.
experiencing.
Ruben is part, and so is Leslie.
Yeah.
I don't think Kelly has been part of our adventures. When the Old American Act, happens, or the senior fair, I used to bring from South County,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I actually had the mayor and the city council and other people ride the bus along with the seniors, and they loved it. And I think they loved it because we were with them.
Mhm.
It's not like, here, get a bus pass, go here, and here you go. No, because we were there. And then the other one for the senior fair, they did it this last time. I didn't do it, but I was grateful that they took it upon to take the seniors to the fair, and they went.
Yeah.
Of course, they complained that I wasn't there, and I'm like, I can't be in 3 places, but look at Ruben and Kelly, they did it. And I always say an adventure because you find new ways. I used to ride the bus after I got divorced for 6 months. And I was getting upset because the bus wasn't going where I wanted to go, but I had to walk 6 blocks, which I did lose weight for 6 months. But I learned everything I needed to know. The safety one. What was the first one to get on, and where can I get off instead of getting off on the wrong one and everything. And what I like about the bus drivers is they teach you as well. You know what? Where are you going? Oh, no, don't get off here. Get on the next
Yeah.
one. And then, so they're helpful. They're not just, okay, get in, get out, whatever. No,
Yeah.
they're helpful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you. That's great feedback too. We like to think, our drivers, like I said, people rely on them for information. They really do, more than our website, more than our social media posts, more than anything. They talk to the driver. And so the ratings that you see so high, a lot of it is because our drivers are great. They're amazing. We love our drivers.
yes.
So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, on to item 6, reports and information items. David?
Mm.
And a great segue too. And Christine, I would definitely welcome a survey for the paratransit and the rides program. I think that'd be fantastic to get that same information. I thought it was, very eye-opening. Some of the things that we like to try to promote with our drivers and is that, we provide the freedom to our passengers. Our passengers that we deal with the rides program are senior citizens or physically challenged or students as well that don't have licenses. And so we provide that freedom to them, and that's what we try to instill to our drivers and our employees as well. So excellent presentation. Good job. Thank you very much for that. So we'll go ahead and start with the first slide here. And this kind of leads us into some of the things that you brought up in that last presentation. This is our trips by purpose. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can see this is for our paratransit program. Our majority of our trips are in education, training, and daycare. So we have a lot of college students that utilize our bus service. We have quite a few college routes, and we have quite a few passengers using the rides from King City all the way up to CSUMB as well. Now that school's back in session, so you see there's a large increase there. And then, medical is another huge one. And then personal recreations, like that's that freedom that we provide people getting out to go to the mall, go to dinner, go to the movies, et cetera. So, we can go to the next slide. So this next slide is basically the same as the first one, but it's our taxi service that we utilize for our overflow. similar numbers, similar trips for purpose or employment, medical, dialysis, and personal recreational. So same reasons they're using their taxi, or we send trips over taxi is same as for the paratransit. Okay, we go next slide. Okay, now these are our rides trips over the last year. So if you look at, the increase in trips is grown considerably over the last 2 years. The orange is from fiscal 24 that was just ended for MST. We're now in fiscal 25. And the last 2 months, July and August have, it's kind of interesting because July showed an increase of 317 trips, where August was a decrease of 379. So it balanced itself out. Not sure what the decrease was there. It could be, Car Week was out and about in the month of August, and people want to stay away from jumping on the bus, because of the excess traffic. But unsure what drove that number to go down. Passengers, though, as you can see, is grown considerably. In July, we had 488 increased passengers over last year. And August was a decrease of almost about the same amount of numbers. So, it kind of goes hand in hand with the trips. But I want to say, with the only thing I can think of is the Car Week and August. Maybe more tourists and things like that. They don't want to get out and about. All right, next slide. Okay, this is our passion per revenue hour. How many passions we transport per hour. We did see somewhat of a decrease the last 2 months from previous. Our goal is 1.87 passengers per revenue. We have noticed an increase of riders coming from the South County area, King City, going to Soledad, King City, coming up to Monterey, to Marina, the CSUMB, or even we have a lot of passengers that actually work in Monterey that come from King City. So, that time frame, as it takes about an hour and 15 minutes in a car. So, and a bus is going to take a little bit longer to get to where you need to go. So that extended time, we try to not pick up as many passengers along the way. So that person who's picked up in King City that's going to Monterey isn't on the bus for, over an hour and a half, or the normal time it would take in a personal car. But we still try to service everybody along the way as we can to be efficient. But so that's kind of driven down these numbers here a little bit. But, we are increasing our staff and trying to push more of our drivers down to that South County area to service those passengers that are down there, to help with that, this cause right here. So, on-time performance also is on this slide here. You see, we're hovering right around, mid 80s. Our goal is 90%. We saw a nice increase at the beginning of the year, and it's, like I say, it hovers right around 85%. The last 2 months, we did take a bit of a dip. We had a lot of new drivers coming out on road for us. We are fully staffed, I'm happy to say, but with a lot of the new drivers that are coming out on road, they're a little slower. So they're taking their time. We want them to be safe. That's one thing that we do preach with them is, safety first. The importance of them learning the routes, learning how to operate a bus, and making sure everyone's there safely is our number one priority. I'll take someone getting there safely and our bus drivers getting there safely, over some on-time performance any day, as long as they're safe. So, but as they get to know their areas and know the job, we should start seeing that number increasing as well. All right, we can go to the next slide. Okay. The dreaded call hold times. This one here is something that, we did take a bit of a dip in the last 2 months, and that I'm strongly working with our dispatch crew on reversing these numbers here. Our call hold times are, not where they should be. They dipped in August and part of this month as well. What I'm doing right now is, I'm putting all my dispatchers through kind of a retraining, so they understand the customer service aspect of the job. A lot of my dispatchers have been here for a number of years, and I think they kind of forget the reason we're here, and what we're trying to accomplish with our passengers, and like I said, provide them freedom and just to be a little more understanding. So I'm putting them through a new training. It's called Platinum Customer Service, and it's a recertification, if you want to call it that. So they remember why they're here, and so that's taking place now. And then also I'm monitoring the calls personally myself on a regular basis every day to see what the call time, how many calls we're receiving, the wait times, and making adjustments where necessary. So I'd hope to see some nice improvement in this in the next few months. So okay, we'll go to the next slide. And this last slide that we have here, this is our our number of rides, trips completed per complaint or versus complaints that have come in. In the month of August, we had 1,500 trips come in, and well above the threshold and the goal for the service complaints, which I like to see. We don't want to get complaints, but we're always going to, something's going to come in, whether it be, the bus was late or, I had to wait outside for an excessive period of time, or the dispatcher had me on hold for a long time. It's various things that I'm dealing with. But I like to see that the complaints are far and few in between. That's like the ultimate goal is not as having many complaints and more compliments if possible. And that's the last slide I have for you guys today. Questions? No? Okay. All right. Thank you.
6-2, Christie.
All right, I'll try to be brief because we have an amazing presentation for recognition later. So just 3 items update for mobility. In our taxi voucher program, the MST has created a designated email address now. So for folks that are registered in the program are now able to request for their vouchers on a monthly basis via telephone and email. So we currently have a designated MST mobility site that is joined with MST's website. So with the MST Mobility website, we added a new category specifically for veterans. So information about veterans resources is now available on the MST website. It can be accessed directly from mst.org. And yes, as Reina mentioned, it was a lot of coordination with Ruben. We did take 2 groups of seniors, one from North Monterey County Castroville Senior Center, and then the Salinas Firehouse Senior Center, through our travel training program on the bus to the county fair this past month. And that was with the help with Kelly. She took the groups from North County, Castroville Senior Center. And then we had some last minute emergency with one of our staff who couldn't attend the travel training for the Salinas Senior Firehouse. So I ended up taking it with the seniors. It was amazing because honestly, the last time I did travel training was many, many years ago when I initially just started with the mobility department. So it was kind of nice to be out there taking that ride with our group of seniors through our travel training program. And then let's see here. I do want to call on Kevin because I'd like Kevin to provide the group an update on what's going on with our South County taxi services, as this directly affects to our taxi voucher program. So Kevin. Thank you. Oh, before we move on, do you have any question for me?
Thank you.
No? Okay, thank you.
All right, so yeah, I wanted to provide an update on South County, the South County expansion. So a quick history towards the beginning of this year, the RTA, myself and Norm, we worked with the 4 South County cities to expand service. So these cities updated some of their rules and regulations to allow RTA permitted companies to start providing service in South County. Yellow Cab, we asked all of the companies, but Yellow Cab expressed an interest. They have the most number of drivers, so they felt that at the time that they could do that and accomplish that. And so July 1st is when everything went into effect. And unfortunately, pretty quickly, Yellow Cab discovered that the demand just was not sufficient to continue. So unfortunately, that's where we stand right now. There aren't any companies that are providing service in South County. We're exploring other options, some other service providers, possibly Uber. But at the moment, we have not been able to continue that expansion. We've got a couple of new permit applications for the RTA that are actually going to be voted on at the upcoming board meeting, October 14th, hopefully. So, there's a possibility that some of these new companies might be interested in providing service in South County, but yeah, at the moment, we do not have any service in South County, any taxi service in South County. So that's the unfortunate update. I'm sorry, guys. Any questions?
Could you in the future, maybe 2030, buy a shuttle, like for 20 passengers, and just stick it to South County, starting from obviously Chular to King City to ride, seniors, because that's my challenge with my seniors and the bus stops.
Mhm.
And especially because they were taken away at some of the senior bus stops that they were used to. And so that would be an ideal, one show, just specifically for South County. Couple of drivers, take shifts and take those, when I heard that King City had taxis, yay! And right away Mario started calling all the seniors that live in South County, in King City, hey. And then you had to call again, say, I'm sorry, but they're not available more.
Yeah.
And that's a suggestion that maybe in the future that would be ideal, just that particular shuttle to go, whether it's doctor or groceries and, et cetera. That would be an ideal image for me.
Yeah.
And if I retire, I'll volunteer and drive that. To drive.
You're hired.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, item 7, announcements and appreciations. This time I'd like to recognize 6 years of service for our MST navigator in the back, Juvenal Solorio.
Véngase, Juvenal, véngase.
Puede decir algo y luego le ayudo a traducir. Voy a decir algo y luego le ayudo a traducir.
Sí.
Okay. Hello, members of the Mobility Advisory Committee. My name is Kelly Soriano, and for the past 2 years, I have been overseeing the Navigator program. The Navigator program is a volunteer program that supports our mobility department with travel, training, and community outreach. So we go as far north as North County, Castroville, and as far south as King City. It is my pleasure to recognize Juvenal Solorio Guzman for his valuable contributions, commitment, and dedication and years of service to the Navigator program. Thank you, Juvenal, for these 6 years great years of service to the community. Felicidades, Juvenal. Hola, miembros del Comité Asesador de Movilidad. Mi nombre es Kelly Soriano y durante los últimos 2 años he estado supervisando el programa de navegadores. El programa de navegadores es un programa de voluntarios que apoya a nuestro departamento de movilidad con viajes, capacitación y alcance comunitario, y vamos desde Castroville hasta el sur de King City. Es un placer para mí reconocer a Juvenal Solorio Guzmán por sus valiosas contribuciones, compromiso y dedicación y años de servicio al programa de navegadores. Gracias, Juvenal, por estos 6 años de gran servicio a la comunidad. Felicidades.
I want to take just a few moments to recognize Juvenal. Thank you, Juvenal, for all that you do. I came aboard in 2017, and I think shortly after I met him, I think it was about 2018, 2019, somewhere around that time. But all of the hard work that the mobility department puts in, all of the stuff that we do as a community, for the community, we couldn't get this done without people like you. So I want to recognize you and thank you for your service. We appreciate all that you do, and we look forward to you continuing your service to our community. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad de estar aquí con ustedes. Es un gran equipo y aquí estoy agradecido por todo lo que han hecho por mí y y pues pienso seguir adelante mientras Dios nos dé licencia. Gracias.
Amén.
Soy hawaiano, pero se habla español poquito, muy poquito. So I'm gonna let Kelly.
Usually it's one sentence at a time. But he basically was saying thank you so much, and he's very grateful for this recognition, and he's gonna continue to volunteer as long as he can do it.
Yay. Gracias.
Would you like to take the chair? Yes. The chair.
Okay.
Steven.
Voltea, Kelly. Voltea al señor.
Would you like
Voltea.
to chair? You sure?
Awesome. Yay.
Nice and close. Thanks. 1, 2, MST. Awesome, thank you.
I do want to add that Juvenal is also featured in our mobility brochures many times. So he's been with us for 6 years now. So it's been amazing working with Juvenal.
Great source of knowledge for our community members. So Juvenal, as well as Kelly, this is from a community partner speaking. They always attend to the Socos Nocos event, and Juvenal is one of them who attends most of the South County areas. And it's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm like, how do you know so much? So a lot of the seniors go to him, and Kelly, of course, to ask about routes, information, taxi vouchers, anything related to transportation. So they are a source of not only sound information, but from sound experience that they've used the bus system as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Juvenal, for 6 years of service. I've known you through the Blind Center now for about 4 years, so it's great to see you here, and I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow at support group as well. I would also like to make an announcement that the Blind and Visually Impaired Center is hosting a fall gala and silent auction this year. We have Alexis Garcia Arrezola, City Councilman for Seaside, serving as our Master of Ceremonies. 3-star General Went, and also incoming Supervisor-elect Kate Daniels are our keynote speakers. 3-course dinner at the Monterey Marriott, Ferrante's Baby Room, top floor. So I have invitations for those who would like. And that is my announcement.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I do have an announcement. Cecil, following up a little bit on Diana's information about the master plan for aging focus groups that we did. I want to say last year, September, October, give or take, and which we went to Gonzales, Soledad, King City, Castroville, and Prunedale. That original phase was to seek feedback from residents on what are the gaps, what are the challenges within our aging community, right? So this round, the Alliance on Aging has received a grant to go to the next level, which is a solution summit. So part of that solution summit is that they've done a questionnaire, and that questionnaire is, what is it? What's the color of our community when it comes to the needs and challenges? And so this solution summit is to provide that feedback to our residents. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the residents in each of the cities, Prunedale, Castroville has a great, it's not on the calendar yet. So that's why where I was at today. Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and King City, they will all participate. Now, the interesting thing is not only will they hear the feedback from the questionnaire, is that they will put a priority of what are the 5 pillars for the master plan on aging, according to how they see their community. So I'm not a person who's gonna say that we're aging, but we start aging by the time we are born. And with the next 10 years, give or take, we will be in that age category. So if you have family, if you have friends who you're gonna be there, is that who would like to participate, they're the ones who are gonna put the priorities in order according to city. And that is gonna say how the money will trickle down accordingly. So this event is not just informative, but for them to participate is, what is it gonna be looking like in the next 10 years when it comes to funding for programs, for services, for infrastructure? So the need for transportation in King City, that could, if King City says transportation is one of our priorities to avoid us from being isolated, they're probably gonna put it on top section, right? So that's the whole point of the Solution Summit, to not only engage the community, but for them to take a front seat when it comes to the lay of the land. So that's something that the Alliance on Aging, the Hub, and Cecil are participating as a follow-up. And these are some of the dates, so I'm guessing that during these days, the bus usage might be going a little bit high. So that's an announcement.
And
that we would
MST
like
is
to do.
also part of this collaborative.
Yeah.
And the reason that we passed it out, or I passed it out, is because I want you to let your seniors that you encounter with, let them know about this and participate. And obviously Mario's and my number is down here so they can call and do a reservation. There's gonna be food, there's gonna be prizes, and there's gonna be a lot of seniors, hopefully. Like the first time that they encountered signups, Teresa, our 2 interns, and Mario, they had 78 sign up in one day. And then Gonzales, we had 30. And so it's amazing that they really want to participate, besides social, but they want to participate.
Yeah, so just the same way the census was important to all of us, is a census pays for social services. This is gonna pay for all the social services and infrastructure that's coming down from the government base. So that is why it's so important for us to engage our community, but for us to let our family members know.
And then the other announcement really quick is, as Medicare, if some of you know your seniors, Medicare enrollment is coming up, and that's a flyer. Please share with your seniors as well, because it's important. We don't want them to lose that part of the Medicare enrollment part. It's from October to December. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. You didn't get a Medicare one.
No.
Any other announcements?
Oh, go ahead. No worries.
ITN celebrated its 100,000th ride July 30th, and we are having a celebration October 24th at 5 o'clock at Laguna Seca. Everyone is welcome. Please come. I'll send a content invite out to you. It's a free event. Register so that we have plenty of food. We have Rancho Cielo doing the food. There will be an opportunity to have a hot lap and go around the track. We plan on flying in the founder from the East Coast, and we'll have dignitaries, brief dignitary ceremony, but it's really more fun and celebration. So you're all welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Norm Tutavuki. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. Just wanted to provide just a brief update about our Surf Bus Rapid Transit project for you folks. About 2 weeks ago, we had a hearing here in Monterey in front of the Coastal Commission. And congratulations, we got it. We got our permit. There was one vote against it, but we did get our permit to go ahead and start the process for redesigning. So there is some things that we have to do. We have to redesign a section of the original plans. We're still on schedule as far as we can see. We're getting ready to purchase 9 battery electric bus chargers that'll be installed next calendar year between the Monterey division and the Salinas division. We've ordered 13 battery electric buses. Those are due to go into manufacturing in November of 2025 with the expected delivery date sometime late 2025 or early 2026. And that'll give us the infrastructure and the buses that we need to operate on this service. So we talked a little bit about, having fast, reliable service, all those features that make public transit good. And, this is something that we need. This is something that our community needs. It's going to be fast, frequent, reliable, and it's all going to be delivered with zero emission buses, so no greenhouse gas emissions. So I wanted to congratulate you folks for your support and appreciate all that you do. So thank you.
Everyone, who will adjourn the meeting at 2:36, and we'll see all of you, some of you tomorrow and some of you in January.
Thank you. And we'll send out a friendly reminder that we canceled our November.
Yes.